Welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. If you enjoy our content, please consider donating and following our socials.
All right, so you wanted to talk about circles?
Yeah, let's talk about circles. I mean,
Are we talking about the shape or are we talking about ritual space?
we're talking about ritual space, actually.
I know, I was just being
You know,
honest.
we can talk about the shape if you really want to, like, why a circle and not, a square or something like that, I guess.
I mean, we could. A whole circle.
We could.
Circle inside of a square, square inside of a circle, something.
A circle, yeah. Yeah, no, it's a square inside of a circle.
Yeah.
That exists. We can put squares inside circles.
Yes, we can.
In witchcraft. We do that a lot.
Different topic.
Different topic. Triangles too, and other funny shapes.
All right. So what about ritual space?
Well, what do you believe ritual space is? I mean, in olden days, it's been argued that they might not have cast circles and all this other stuff, and I know druids don't. And we do.
Yeah, modern day druids don't.
We're not going to sit here and discuss temple tradition stuff, right?
Right.
So again, no traditional mystery is going to be.
We hope.
Talked about. We hope. God, this is going to be the sad part is we're going to have to run this. Lady, please, my lady, would you please listen to this and make sure we didn't break any mysteries?
Right. Make sure we didn't break any promises or anything.
So seriously, what do you think the purpose is behind us casting a circle?
For me, it's to separate from the day-to-day world. It's creating a space where basically heaven and earth can collide, so to speak. They can,
so to speak.
Yeah, they can live in the same space, if you will.
All right, I'd agree with you there. I believe as soon as we start to cast that circle, what we're really doing is creating sort of like a pocket dimension. In which it's sort of, it is part of this world, but it's not.
Right.
And I don't know about you, but I over the years have noticed some strange things when we do cast circles, and they're well constructed circles and stuff like that. That your perception of time seems to be a little off.
It does. Yeah.
Sometimes when you. Right. Again, there's that first trait that you're actually doing something right, because you can do a ritual and it's like, oh God, we've been in here forever, and you get done and you walk out and it's like been 15 minutes.
Right.
And you're like, what? I know that ritual seemed longer than that. Then there's other times you go in there and the longest ritual seems to be like shorter.
That has happened, yeah.
Now, again, I don't know if this is just, the whole entire, hey, it's a good ritual, so everything moves a little bit faster, or it's a bad ritual, so it seems to drag out a little bit longer. I'm not denying that. I mean, that could be part of it, but
it could be, but
I don't tend to think so.
Yeah, I mean, it could at some point happen, but I don't think that really has anything to do with it.
Well, like where we do circle when we're temple is held at the lady's house. So again, what we do is one of her front rooms of her home that faces the road, and her road's not a unbusy road. I don't know how to put that. It's not like where we live farther out in the country. If we see cars at night, we actually stop and have to look and go, huh?
Who's that?
Because it doesn't happen. All right, she's got a little bit more traffic. When that circle's cast, I don't hear that traffic.
I typically don't know.
I'm not saying like, you don't hear a little bit of it when we're just sitting there having conversations and stuff like that. But as soon as we have circle, that seems to muffle. So again, here's what makes me think that we're creating some type of pocket dimension. All right. And again, because we're limiting the space, again, we call it a circle. It's not a circle, it's a sphere.
It's a sphere, yeah.
All right. It's actually a circle, it's actually a ball.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Where the ground is literally the midpoint,
Right.
and there's another half of a circle underneath us. All right. And again, there's ways to cut that if you really want to only have a half a circle there
Mm-hmm.
or a half a ball there. It's long and complicated. Not going to get into it. But generally, I believe because it's such a small space like that, and because we're crowding the energies there, that we're able to raise the energy vibrations a whole lot higher than just being in no circle.
I see that because you're containing it. And so it's bouncing off the sphere. Essentially, is what it's doing.
Yeah.
You've got the energy moving and it's inside of an area. It's kind of like a snow globe. If you look at a snow globe, I mean, you shake it up, what's it doing? It's constantly moving around a small area.
Right. Concentrating it all into one area, making it look like it's snowing in a snow globe.
Right. And I believe that's kind of the same effect, but I believe it's more like a water spout type deal where it builds on itself.
Yeah. Yeah. We typically believe in agrarian fields.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Which basically the idea here is that, well, when we put out that psychic energy, just hate to be this way, but it's kind of like cleaning carpets. If you clean a carpet with an extractor,
Mm-hmm.
you can never get all the water up. All the water you put on the carpet, you can never get it all 100% back up. You sort of got to wait for it to dry.
Right.
Psychic energy, we believe, is sort of the same way. You can put it out for that circle, but you're never going to pull it all back in.
Right.
You're going to leave some of it behind. And then when you have other people in the circle, their energy sort of lingers too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so over time of doing ritual in the same spot over and over again, this energetic field starts to create and settle into the space.
Right. Kind of
All right.
embeds
Now,
itself,
when you,
really.
right. And now, again, I'm not going to sit there and tell you it stays literally inside that circle, but it literally stays within inside the dwelling
Mm-hmm.
because this is why in the world you hear us talk a lot about when we're blessing houses to put, especially temples where we're going to be doing ritual, putting barriers up or
Mm-hmm.
sigils up to keep the energy in.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want that energy to leak out. We want it to maintain there.
Right.
Because that's part of the energy that we use to recast circle each time.
Absolutely.
And over time, it makes it a little bit more intensified.
Well, again, it builds on itself.
Right. The more people you have there, the more energy that is created over time with every full moon, with every Sabbath, with every wickening, the same process is going on.
Yeah, everything that we do in that space lays down another layer.
Right. And there are ways to manipulate this, all right? For example, in our tradition, we have a first degree circle casting that we use. Then we have, when you become second degree, you learn a different way to cast circle with slight alterations there.
Right.
Which makes the energies a little bit more intense. Then when you become third degree, you learn the third degree way of casting circle, which really intense energy.
I was going to say, simply put, again, it alters that energy.
That energy and the flow of that energy. Right. And how the energy actually enters the circle and how it exits the circle, even if it even exits the circle. And how it literally, and also how it moves.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a bunch of, this is the stuff we're not talking about on how to actually do that. Those are more traditional mysteries.
Right.
But again, there are different ways to do this. And some temples, yes, as you progress, you'll learn different forms of circle casting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, which is very confusing to some people if they're not really paying attention.
Well, it can be. I mean, because you're being taught one way initially, and then all of a sudden, oh look, yeah, now there's a different way to
Hey,
do it,
well, true.
and it depends on how long
You
you've
know,
been doing it the initial way.
right.
You get so ingrained, and then all of a
Well, I
sudden,
mean,
everything's upheaval.
that transition from a first degree to a second degree is not that complicated because they're just small changes.
Right.
The general basic concept of circle casting is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the end of the day, do you believe that this circle is there to protect us or to protect something else? Because everybody talks about these circles being protective. Do you believe they are?
No, I don't think they are. There's nothing. The way I believe is that there's nothing when we are in that space. There's nothing that can. I mean, I guess in a way it is. Now that I'm putting it into words, there's nothing that's going to bother us in that space. I mean, nothing
No.
comes in unless we invite it. So I
Right.
guess in some ways, yes, it is a protective space. But by the same token, and I guess this is where it's a little confusing, by the same token, I don't see that we need protection.
I don't think we need protection. I think it's more of it's to protect other entities from us.
Maybe.
All right, less than protecting us from other entities. Are you with me? I don't. I do not see anywhere where we need to be protected from the gods. Because when we're casting this circle, that's the first thing we're doing. We're either going to invoke them or incarnate them inside circle, and we really shouldn't be afraid of that.
Well, and see, here's my thing on that. I don't believe the gods need protection from us. What are we going to do to them? I mean,
Maybe not that. Well, maybe not them, but the elementals and stuff like that. Technically, to them, we're the demons.
Well, I get it, but again, we're talking about ancient beings.
Yeah,
They're not
but
fragile.
no, they're not fragile, but I think they are acceptable to our emotional states, our irrational emotional states that we have.
Mm,
All right. Again, you go inside the circle, you get afraid, or you get fear, or you're angry, or something like that. I think that can.
you think it affects
It
them?
won't. I think it affects them. I think it repels them to some extent.
Well, I could see that. I don't know about being. I don't know if I would say susceptible to our emotions because that implies that we're affecting them on more than just a level of I'm not going near that.
Right.
You know what I mean? That implies that like if we're fearful, then they become fearful. If we're upset, they become upset. I don't believe we can affect them like that.
I can sort of see what you're saying there, but I also see where in the world, okay, your emotional energies might not break one of their arms per se, but might give them a bruise.
Okay.
And I hate to be this way when you have an elemental or any other being show up and they're constantly getting bruised every time they're in circle. How long until they don't come back?
Gotcha. Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Because again, they are something different than us, and
Mm-hmm.
who knows how rough our energy is compared to theirs.
I don't see us affecting them like that. I think in some ways if we're not, well, not in some ways, but if we're not respectful to them, then yeah, that's kind of like an abusive relationship, and no, they're not going to come
Yeah.
back for that.
Well, I mean, well, with that said, though, but to get elementals to actually commune with you, you got to be a little bit more. You got to have a lot of willpower and a lot of confidence in yourself.
Well, and I
All
don't think
right.
that's because it takes that much to command them. I just think the more the more confident you are, the more respect they have for you.
Right. And the more they actually listening to you. I mean,
Right.
there's a difference between listening to your drill sergeant and listen to some first, you know, private that,
Right.
first grade private that don't know what in the world they're talking about.
Right.
We're the privates, they're the generals, that upsetting them. If you're not confident, if you're not sure of yourself, how are you even casting that circle to begin with?
Exactly. You're just going through the motions at that point.
Yeah, are you actually going through the motions or are you actually doing something?
Yeah. Confidence is key for sure.
Now, we believe it's necessary to cast circle to have ritual, but it's not necessarily to cast circle to cast a spell.
Right. Yeah. Again, that's the distinction between a sacred space and a working space.
Okay, me and the lady have been going through some stuff on, through the lecture course and some
Hmm.
other info, and we are having a little bit of a thing because we keep on going through these files that Lord Men left us, in which the files are named ritual, but yet you get in there and they're all spells.
Right.
All right. So again, there is this whole entire thing of, having to go back through and, okay, separating spells from actual rituals.
Hmm.
A spell is not a ritual to us. A spell is something you do at your kitchen counter or somewhere else, not in your ritual space.
Right.
Because for us, this is more of a religion than it is some magic system.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and say we don't use magic to cast circle, but to me, that does not make it a magical circle. It just makes it a circle.
Well, and yeah, I was gonna say it's not that we haven't done some magic inside of Circle, but it's not a primary focus.
It's not a primary function of the circle.
Right. I mean, if it relates to what we're doing, then yeah, we might do something.
Well, again, doing group spells is difficult
Hmm.
because again, one of the things they tell you when you're casting spells, what's the first thing you have to envision the outcome
Yes.
that you want. All right. And what my ideal outcome is and what somebody else's ideal outcome is
Hmm.
might not be what in the world really is going on.
Right. Yeah. So
So again,
I think in some aspect, when you're doing something like that, then you basically have to give everybody the end goal
right.
so that everybody can be on the same page.
If you're going to do that. Well, again, one of the reasons why we might do inside circle is the actual property of the circle, which we talked about earlier about being able to raise energy up to a higher frequency and concentrate it in a smaller space.
Yes.
So it's more effective that way
Right.
versus just, willy nilly out in the yard.
Well, it's going back to and it's something that a lot of people don't even use this term anymore, but it's the cone of power.
Yes.
And that's essentially what it is. You're concentrating all of that into a centralized space to use at some point later.
I mean, and if you really visualize it, it's less of a cone of power and just more like filling the whole entire ball up with circle until it's like a balloon and pops,
Right.
or you pierce it. It's not very cone shape. It just seems like it when you're inside of it, sort
Well,
of.
yeah, the cone of power thing is it's actually directed. What you're
Right.
talking about is not directed. You're letting it
Right.
go
You're letting it go. I mean,
inside of that
but
space.
again,
Yeah.
yes, right. To pierce it, yes, you got to direct it and focus it a little bit more.
Hmm.
And again, it's still not necessarily a comb.
Yeah, and I mean it's just a term that was used to
It's
kind of give you
right
an
to
idea
to
of what's
sort of
happening.
what's going on here.
Yeah.
So again, it's just the way of explaining what in the world we're talking about is calling it a comb of power.
Right.
So don't confuse the two. You don't get a comb inside a circle like that. You get energy inside circle to where it's focused, then it pops through.
Right.
Now, when you're inside circle, the majority of times when you're inside circle, some of the energies can get so intense that I've heard some people even sit there and go, "Hey, you know what? I was psychically attacked inside your circle." And you sort of look at them and go, "Well, actually, you weren't.
Right.
That's just the energy of ritual itself. It's not that you're being attacked, it's just the energy's that high inside circle and you're not used to it."
Right.
Don't confuse the two. Normally, it's just you notice patterns outside of your normal behavior
Right.
that don't make no sense.
Chances are some type of attack like that is not going to happen inside of sacred space. It's going to happen outside.
It's going to happen outside.
So that's your biggest clue right there.
Right. Like we just talked about, different circles at different degrees. So if we're doing a public ritual, we're not going to be casting a third degree circle. We're only going to be casting a first degree circle.
Right. Because we want to keep that we
Right.
want to keep those energies at a minimum.
Subdued, because if
Right.
it's a public ritual, we're going to have people that are not used to being in our rituals or anything like that, are used to that energy.
Mhm.
So we're going to do it at the lowest level possible.
Mhm.
All right. Where you might be in a third degree. If you came to our private ones and you automatically stepped into one of our third degree circle, yes, you might be sitting there going, "Oh, I'm getting attacked." No, it's just the energies. It's just a lot there.
Well, now we have had some people, break down in tears
Yeah.
because of the amount of energy inside of circle, and they didn't know what to do with it.
Right. We've had people come inside circle and literally be sitting there and feeling like they're being pressed down onto the floor and to the
Mhm.
point where no, I need to get out of here and go lay down.
Mhm.
So again, these things do happen. Here's what's going on. Because I hear a lot of people out on the net talking about if they should or shouldn't cast a circle. It really depends on you
Mhm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
and your tradition.
There's a lot of people who don't even bother with circles, and things work just fine for them.
Now, if you're out there and you're trying to decide what to do, what I'm going to sit there and tell you to do is pick a way to cast circle. Open up any Wiccan pagan book out there, and there's going to be a circle casting somewhere in there.
Probably.
All right. From Scott Cunningham all the way up to the Lafarge, all of them talk about it. I would tell you to start off by trying different ones and see what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you find one, stick with it. Get it memorized to where you know it like the back of your hand.
Right. And somewhere along the line and we highly recommend this. You can customize it to your needs, and what feels right for you.
Right.
Write your quarter calls, write your invocations.
Go for it. Make it yours. Practice it.
Yeah, and practice.
Again,
practice.
Practice. Okay, and here's what I tell most people when we're sitting there teaching my first degrees circle casting. The expectation is that you can cast circle in under 5 minutes.
Right, and it's not a race.
It's not a race, but the idea is you don't want to spend 2 hours on just casting circles.
Right. The idea is you want to minimize the distractions, minimize the interruptions. You want everything to flow smoothly.
Right.
And when it flows smoothly, it's going to be time efficient.
Right.
I mean, it's just the way it's going to work. You don't want, a 2-hour prep time for a 15-minute ritual.
That makes no sense because, at some point the elementals are going to be like, I've been here for an hour. I'm bored. We still ain't starting ritual. Bye. Right. Peace out.
You ain't even got a TV on. I should have brought my headset.
Now, again, I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with us on a lot of this, but this is the way we do it in our tradition. The way y'all do it, y'all's business. Just talking about this in general.
Right.
So is there anything else about circles we might want to talk about that's where we don't necessarily get into mysteries? I really do believe that the circle allows us to bring our energies up to the lowest levels of the deity, while deity sort of brings itself down to its lowest level to meet us. And eventually we are able to overlap the two worlds slightly inside that circle.
That's I mean, that's the whole idea between basically the celestial space and the earthly space being in the same plane.
Right. I mean, for the sake of argument, you could say we believe we're folding space in on itself.
Right.
But sort of like two different realms of space are folding in on themselves so we can sort of see each other and communicate better.
I was going to say, think of it more like a pita pocket. So when you're making a pita, you're folding two pieces of bread, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you've got this little pocket space in between. And if you squeeze the sides, it kind of creates a sphere. I know, that's so simple.
Yeah. But again, hey, KISS method is always a good thing. If you don't know what that is, that means keep it simple, stupid. All right. Again, the more complicated we make this stuff, the more out of our hands and control we lose. But if we keep it simple, it's a little bit better.
Now you can add more elements, as you go.
Right.
But do it after you've gotten your base casting down.
Right. Well, again, I mean, that's just like quarter coils. I'm sorry, doing these 3 pages quarter coils is freaking ridiculous to me. They could be a little bit more shorter and precise and straight to the point and just move on.
I mean, some of them are beautiful. It's definite poetry.
Some of them are.
But you don't want an epic poem for a quarter call.
No.
Well, at least we don't.
No. I would not suggest to it. Now, how would you tell people to tell if they are casting the right circle for them?
You'll know. Back to trust your instincts. Trust your gut.
Well, I'm going to sit there and say, okay, if you start getting weird stuff happening in your home, mainly that's focused around the place where you cast circle to begin with, electronics start messing up, electrical systems don't quite work right.
Which we've all
no matter how many times you've replaced the battery and the smoke detector after every ritual, it seems to go dead.
Right.
These are signs that your circle is leaking energy.
Right. You need to make some modifications.
You need to make some modifications there and maybe meditate and try to figure out how to make it stronger in and of itself, or how to use that agrarian field. We did circle at our house for what, 5 years?
It was more like 7.
7 years. And by the end of that 7 years, casting circle was a piece of cake with the agrarian field there that we'd built up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to the point to where a well-trained 2nd or 3rd degree could stand in the middle of a circle, not say anything, and literally raise a circle out of nowhere, just using the agrarian field. I'm not saying this is the best use of this. The idea here is that, once you start casting circle, the energy that's still left there is going to sort of know what it did last time.
Yeah, it's got a memory to it.
And it's sort of got a memory to it. So it's going to automatically start to do the same thing again each time. And yes, each time you leave a little bit more energy behind and a little bit more energy behind. And yes, they do become beacons to other entities. Why in the world you've got to put even more barriers and stuff around houses?
Right.
All right. Because again, you do not want this energy to leak out into the neighbor's house.
No. Oh, no, you don't want that at all. That's going to freak your neighbors out.
Now, what happens when you move? You sell the house off and you're no longer going to do there.
Honey, you better take up every bit of that field that you can get.
Well, again, we've already stated you can't always get it all up. That's how the agrarian field created to begin with.
I said everything that you can get.
And then after that, you sort of have to encourage it to dissipate or to start taking down those barriers in the
Mm-hmm.
house so the energy can so it can dissipate.
Yeah.
And which I would sit there and tell you, if you're moving and you've been doing ritual in your house for 20 years, you might say, okay, we're going to be moving in 6 months. I need to start breaking this
Mm-hmm.
stuff down now and leach it. Because again, what happens after you leave could create, and you're not there to maintain those barriers and,
Mm-hmm.
do your regular cleansings and stuff like that to make sure those barriers are still strong and
Mm-hmm.
there. And it could create haunted houses
Yeah, it
to
could.
some extent.
It could, yeah.
There's this great entire episode on from Animal Planet where in the world a coven used to be in a house and they
Mm-hmm.
lived and they moved out and a family moved in
Yep.
and the dogs and the cats kept on acting very bizarre and they contacted the old owners and the old owners were like, well, this is where our temple was. This is where we did ritual and all this. And they were like, so maybe we didn't dissipate all the energy we should have. So they had to sort of come in and re-bless and try to thin that energy out just a tad bit more.
Yeah, I love that episode.
And I think it's funny because again, I remember the lady like send it to me. It's like, oh, you got to watch this. And she's like, well, me and her both are just sitting there laughing. Goes, oh, I know what she's doing. I know what he's doing. Oh,
Yep. Because we had to do that when we moved.
oh yeah. You might want to have at least an exit plan.
Even if you don't plan
Again,
on moving.
even
Just,
if you don't plan on moving,
yeah, it's good to have that in your back pocket because you never know.
right? You never know. And you never know when you're going to get called to a house to do a house blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened to be a house from a former witch. And you're like, oh, hey, look, there's an agrarian field right here.
Mm-hmm.
That might be your problem.
Yeah, we're going to have to get rid of that.
All right. I mean, again, one of the easiest ways to do it is to find one of them quartz crystals, set it in there, and energize it enough to where in the world it will start to try to pull in as much of that agrarian field as you can. That way, when you go to your new place, you could sort of take that agrarian field, what little bit of that agrarian field you could take with you to sort of kick off the next one.
Right.
So again, there's a piece of that energy we're going to be taking, but you sort of have to go and get it through this roundabout way.
Mm-hmm.
So go figure. Is there anything we've forgotten about circles that
Lord.
we?
I don't know. We've covered.
I mean, I
so
know there's a
much.
bunch of stuff we didn't talk about.
I was gonna say we've covered so much, but there's so much more we can't cover.
So, all right. I think I'm ready for some coffee.
Yep, let's go get some.
Hey, if you like what in the world's going on, like, share, review,
Right.
please.
Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another episode. Pagan Coffee Talk is brought to you by Life Temple and Seminary. Please visit us at lifetempleseminary.org for more information, as well as links to our social media: Facebook, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me